I'm Megan Fox, and I had a past life regression with Mark Johnson. And the reason I went in to see him was because I was curious about some of the phobias and fears that I currently face, and I was hoping that I could get some answers and maybe even some closure on some things and fix some things that I have going on right now.
And so how did that work for you?
It worked well. I actually had psoriasis, and my psoriasis is starting to clear up due to this session.
So what was it that caused the psoriasis?
Well, I always thought it was just things I was eating, but as we went through the past life regression, I found out that I had actually been burned before, and I had carried across into this life the fact that I felt like a failure because I was burned for healing, and I'm trying to start a healing business now, and I'm worried about failure. And the more stressed and worried I get, the more my psoriasis acts up. And so when I left, and as Mark walked me through that life and that death, I was asked to release that with her and leave that with her, because that was her. That was not me now, and not to bring it in here. Burning was how I died. I wasn't scared of the burning. I think it was the failure that I did want to heal more, and in that life I felt like I wasn't done, and it was some men who had burned me and burned all my things, and my things meaning all my herbs and my healing.
And so it's been 4 days since your session, and so you've noticed that the psoriasis is the improvement in the
Yes,
psoriasis?
and I've become more aware. I've only had one sensation of it on my face a little bit, and it was when I started getting, feeling that sense of failure, and then I reminded myself, that's not me. I'm not going to fail. That was her, and this is now, and it's not itched since then. So I just remind myself.
So there was another one that you spontaneously went into. It was shared with you.
Well,
And so that had to do with falling. Talk about that a little bit.
that one was actually a lot more physical for me during this experience. I felt the falling. I was falling, and I actually was crying. But what was even more intense was Mark moved me back. He guided me back to why I was falling, and I realized that I had done something. I was Native American, and I had done something to somebody, this man. I don't know who he was, but he was also Native American, and I was begging his forgiveness. And there was another man behind me. I don't like that man. And then I'm begging this man to forgive me. I liked this man, and I had done him wrong. And then the next thing I know, I felt choking, and he had thrown me over a cliff, and I could see the pine trees, and I felt the falling, and I rose up out of my body, and I could see my body on the stone. I had hit a stone, and I could see my arm, I could see my dead body, I could see things about it.
And how's this connected to your life today?
Well, I have a fear of heights. I don't like heights, and I don't like, and I grind my teeth. And I remember when I rose up, I looked down, and I could see my teeth were over to the side, and they were out of my mouth. And I remember thinking that was upsetting to see. So,
Have you noticed any change with the grinding of the teeth or not? You haven't noticed that yet?
I haven't noticed that yet, but that will probably come out with my jaw. You know, if I don't have a sore jaw very often, or I have very sensitive teeth due to grinding as well. So if those start building back up and I notice that goes away, that will be telling.
You also met someone in spirit during this experience. Tell me about that.
Well, I didn't expect to go to a life between lives, but that's what happened. It was when I passed away from, actually it was before I was shown that scene of falling off the cliff. I had regressed out of my mother's womb, and I could tell because I had no body. I felt I was not in the physical, and I was very, very, very happy. Mark, he asks you questions and asks you to describe what you're seeing or feeling or what's there, and I said, you know, it was teachers, it was friends, and then I didn't know who they were, and I couldn't really see any of them, and then all of a sudden I saw blue come in front of me, and I recognized this entity, and he asked me who was it friendly, like was it a friend or teacher? I said, I think it's a teacher, and I actually got his name, and actually he was able to talk to Mark some as well. Actually, yes, I was a man twice, but this particular time you're talking about, I was a man in the 1500s, and I lost my wife in childbirth, and I wasn't very nice to women after that. I remember feeling, I remember just kind of feeling like I didn't care about any of them, but I definitely was playing the field, I suppose, whatever you would call it back in the 1500s, and it ended up being telling to me because I looked at my life, and when I moved back to my life now, I've had some bad experiences where men have not been as kind to me as they could have been, and I thought this, and then the word karma came into my head, so I realized that some of the things that happen now are related to things that happened that you possibly did to other people, and it's kind of what you're here for, is to learn.
And two things that came up: treat people like people, and be more loving to my husband.
Yes, something that did, and this was more of what I heard from when I think it was more when I was in between lives. It was to be kinder to my husband. I can't change people. I can't change my loved ones. I have to be kinder to them because they're on their own paths and their own journeys, and that was definitely something that I picked up, and that was more from actual teachers when I went in between.
And so if you were to summarize your experience and just provide any additional comments about how you feel about your session, both right after the session as well as now it's 4 days later, what else would you have to say about this experience?
Well, right after, you think, did I imagine that? And then it's just, there's no way that you could imagine these names and these places and these people that you've never seen before. It's almost like a memory, but that you don't really know that you had it. If I was to say 4 days later, I still kind of look back and go, wow, I can't believe I remembered that stuff. It was awesome. And if anyone's thinking of doing it, don't hesitate. It's worth it. Just to get some answers even. It will help you. What happened then stays there, but you can at least get a peek and understand what's going on now. And it can help you relate to people better. It can help you understand like your purpose, why you're here, what you need to change. So yeah, it was great.
All right, well, thanks.